This is the statement of theorem number 1. Last time we discussed the theorem number 1. Okay. So this is some alternative interpretation. It says that for purely reactive tank network, their input impedance GI is bounded by two curves. One is the GI input impedance evaluated with output shorted. Okay. The other one is input impedance evaluated with output opened. Okay. So in the beginning of this topic, I remember I told you that this dependency is very strong, and most of the characteristics are determined by two extreme conditions of the load. One is the short circuit, and the other one is open circuit. Okay, so that appears here. So GI0 is GI evaluate with R equals 0 is short circuit input impedance, and GI infinity is GI evaluate with load resistance of infinity. So it's the open circuit impedance. There are two extreme conditions. Okay, so these all the input impedance are bounded by these two curves. So you understand this. Okay, and we'll go back to that part later. So first to prove this. Okay, so this is the situation. This is the inverter model. Okay, and we are interested in this GI input impedance seen by input port, and R is we consider this as an extra element. So this is initially this is assumed to be infinite, the open circuit, and the equation of GI at the presence of the R is not infinite. It's a finite value is given by this. Okay, this is the expression of the ET. What it says is the impedance with R. Okay, you assume R is open here. Okay, then evaluate input impedance with open circuit condition is GI infinity. Okay, this is a leading term, and we have two terms, three other terms. One is R, is obvious, you know R, and this is the zeta bar. This is a null driving point impedance, defined as this is the impedance, driving point impedance seen through this port, and the definition of the output of transfer function of our original interest, which is the input impedance. Output of that is 0. So this should be 0. That means with R is okay. Vs is 0. It's called the short circuit output impedance. Okay. Another one, this G bar is driving point impedance seen through this port. Okay. Then input of this is 0. So Is is 0. That means this is open. Right. So this is output impedance of this converter evaluate with input port open. Okay. So this is the short circuit output impedance or short circuit driving point impedance. This is open circuit driving point impedance or open circuit output impedance. This is the expression. Okay. So we use the notation for that. All right. So zeta bar is this one. G bar is this one. All right. So there are an alternative expression for the ET. Which one is this? Very similar to the previous case, but initially this GI0 is input impedance with output terminal shorted. Okay, and say from but R is coming in the top. Okay, when R is 0, this GI is the same as GIO. Right? Previously, if R is infinity, this GI infinity is the same as what? GI. Okay? It makes sense. All right. So this is the expression. GI can be expressed either this manner or this manner. Okay. Later on, we'll use this equation to prove something else. Now we are using this. Right? So we are only using this to derive the equation. No. To derive the condition to prove the theorem 1. All right. So think about magnitude of this. So GI magnitude squared is GI times GI complex conjugate. Okay. GI star. So we write this twice. one here, here, and we do some take this star operation, so star operation here, and another star operation is here. Okay, so this is the equation. The most important thing is the purely reactive tank networks. This is our basic assumption. Then this GI0 or GO0, GO infinity, they are purely imaginary. So it has J and this magnitude of GO0. So this is GO0 in complex expression, and this is the GO infinity, J, like this. This is a complex expression, and the complex conjugate of this is just to use negative sign in front of this, right? So this equation, with this equation can be simplified like this. So this is same equation, and you expand this, then you have this, right? So differentiate this. Okay, so we want to have the inflection point of this equation, the point where the derivative of this equation becomes 0 as important for our purpose. So we take derivative of this in respect to log r. Okay, so all of you know this. This is the formula for the derivative of these two functions in this form. So this is the final result. So we are looking for the condition when this thing becomes 0. Okay? So derivative of gi magnitude squared with respect to r as 0, that is the same as this condition. So this condition is it's essentially the same condition with this one. Just this one is 0. Okay? This derivative of gi squared is 0. Then just derivative of gi is also 0. So we have 3 points. One is 0. If r is 0, then definitely this is 0. Okay? If r is infinity, because order of r here is false, we have only one r here. Then if r goes infinity, this becomes 0. Another point is if this GO infinity and GO0 are the same in their magnitude, this becomes 0. Okay? So you have 3 points, this point, and this point. But we are investigating the GI, not GO. Okay? So this condition can be modified to the relationship to GI. Okay? GO is fine, but we don't want this. Okay? So there is some identity, reciprocity identity. We will prove this soon in the next slide. Then it says this ratio of this output response GO. Okay? And this is the nature characteristic of output port. Output is shorted, output is opened. Ratio between these two magnitude items are same as the ratio of this one. This is the relationship between input impedance. Evaluate at 2 extreme conditions. One is this output is shorted, output is open. Okay. I think I made a mistake. This is evaluate with input shorted, input opened. Okay. So this is the symmetric or duality. So with this condition, we have this. So this condition, this identity is the same as this one. So we have 3 singular point, inflection point, which is this and this one. This is the point we want to find out. So this is the point. Okay. So this one becomes 0. Right? That means this derivative with respect to r becomes 0 at this point. At this point, it indicates another important information that is in between this 0 and infinity. There is no point which makes this derivative 0. That means if the trend of the input impedance magnitude, if magnitude is increasing, then it keeps on increasing. Okay? If magnitude decreases, it keep on decreasing. It won't change this direction. Okay, it won't change the tendency. That is the very important. And what particular point? What very important singular point is this point? This point. Okay. So all the input impedance curve merge together into a single point because at this point, this GI magnitude is totally independent of this R. Okay. For different R, magnitude will be the same. So this all the curves will merge at the point, this point. Okay. GI 0 is the same as GI infinity in their magnitude. Okay. And all right. It's better to just showing the result of this. So this is the result of everything. Okay. So this is one specific input impedance, one extreme condition. So GI 0, R is shorted. So R is varying from 0 to infinity. So we have this condition. There is no equal sign here. Right? So at R is 0, this one, R is 0. So this is shorted. So we have only one resonance, and resonance frequency is definitely this one, right? And R is increasing, and assume R is infinity large. Then this is open. Then resonance occurs through these three circuit components. That frequency is this one. This value is larger than this one. So this frequency occurs at lower frequency, like this. Okay. For any arbitrary value in between, we have something like this. So this is one example. This red one, and blue one, and this purple one. So all of them, for any value of this, the input impedance is somewhere here and pass through this point. This is a pinhole. Okay, very small pinhole, and every input impedance curve merge all together, and they pass through this pinhole, narrow hole, then go the other region, and it expand like this, right? So what it indicate is, suppose look at this point, all right? So this is the input impedance when R equals 0, and this R equals infinity. Then at one particular frequency, if you increase R, that input impedance is increasing, keep on increasing, right? In this region, if R is increasing, so R is increasing, then magnitude of this input impedance is decreasing. It never changes this trend, and trend is changed only crossing this borderline, because this is the inflection point. So this is the general behavior of input impedance, right? So in here, the magnitude of impedance is proportional to this R. If R becomes larger, so R is increasing in this direction, then magnitude of this input impedance is increasing. In here, if R is increasing, magnitude of this GI is decreasing, right? So this is the borderline. Okay, so right-hand side of the borderline, GI is proportional to R, and left-hand side of borderline, GI is inversely proportional to R. Okay. Last time I explained this regarding to the line node efficiency. For this region, if R is increasing, then GI is increasing. If R is increasing, then this load current becomes very small, right? Then load current becomes small, then this tank current is decreasing. That is a good thing, right? So very small power is delivered to the load, and with small tank current, right? This tank current is involved with the conduction loss of this converter, so line node efficiency will be good. Okay? Requirement for that is this GI, magnitude of GI should be proportional to R. If this GI is inversely proportional to this, what happened here is R is increasing, so very little load current is delivered, but this is increasing because GI is decreased. That means this circulating current is increased without any contribution of power transformer. Power transfer, that is the very bad situation. So just consuming the conductive loss, all right? So line node efficiency is very important. So you should consider that the GBS and the GCS switching characteristics and the line node condition situation. Okay, so I think we discovered this slide last time. We just went through quickly to highlight the forthcoming stories yesterday. All right. Okay. So we proved this theorem number 1, and we need to prove the reciprocity identity, which is given here. Okay. Proof of this reciprocity identity is very simple, extremely simple. This is the GI expression. This is one version of EET, and this is another version of EET. So this is the same thing. Okay. So it starts here. So you move this one here. Okay. You divide the GIO by GI infinity. You have this. Then this thing go down here. Then you have this expression, and you rearrange this. So this is the same thing, all right? And multiply the numerator and the denominator at the same time with this. This is just the unity. This is number 1, okay? Then it goes there, it goes there, it goes there, it goes there. Then what you have is it's just factoring out multiplication. This is the result, okay? Then you have this, they cancel, all right? The remaining is this, all right? So this one is same, this ratio is the same as this ratio. So this is the reciprocity property, all right? So maybe this is best used in deriving this relationship, okay? I don't know how the Ericsson, he used this equation to derive this, okay? I have never seen any other books about derivation of this. Actually, he didn't show this. So I dig out this. I spent some time, okay, and I dig out this was the trick. He just skipped it, but this is the trick, okay? Maybe smart way of dealing with this. So this is the conclusion. So this is the result. And there are 2 implications of this, right? The ratio is the same, okay? That means the magnitude of this one should be the same. Because they are the same. Another one is if this one is out of phase in some frequency region, then this one should be the out of phase each other. I'm talking about the numerator and the denominator. Numerator, denominator, they have same value, same magnitude, and the same nature. In phase, out of phase. Okay? We'll be using this fact later to prove something else. Okay? So we prove the reciprocity identity. Okay? And this is another one. I said Fm is given by this equation. We prove this now, okay? So at this point, this is the FM frequency, all right? So as I said, because of the reciprocity property, there are 2 things is valid here at this point, at this FM point, or on the other FM point. This magnitude of GI0 is the same as GI infinity, right? And another one is, in this area, this is R. This is the R of 0 and R of infinity. So this phase here is, this is minus 90. Okay? Phase here is plus 90. Right? So they're out of phase. So in here, at this point, these 2 impedances are out of phase. In detail, phase of this thing is minus 90, and phase of this, okay, input impedance at the other extreme condition is 90 degree, so they're out of phase. Okay, so we are trying to find out the expression of this frequency. So procedure this. All right, GI0. 0 means this is shorted. Okay, then this magnitude of this one is just summation of reactance of this, which is this. Okay, and that value is the same as the reactance of GI evaluate with this condition. So this becomes infinity. Then you have the series connection with this, which is this. Okay, magnitude of these two things are same because they meet at the same frequency, at the same point. So magnitude should be the same, but this one is, we know, this is out of phase, input impedance of two things are out of phase, then this GI infinity. Okay, they are out of phase. Then you need a minus sign here, right? Because there's a 180 degree phase delay, the sign change. So you need to put additional minus here. Then you rearrange this and find out this frequency. Then Fn is given by this expression. All right? So this is the expression. Okay? Okay, so this is the final result of everything. I have 4 examples of this. This is an example of the simple LCR series resonant tank. So input impedance of this with R equals 0 is GI0. GI0 is shorted. Okay, just you have L and C. That curve is shown here. This frequency is this one, okay, because you only have L and C. R is shorted, okay. So this curve is GI0, right? This is GI0. How about the GI infinity? GI infinity means this is open, that this input impedance becomes what? Infinitely large, all right? So this is the curve for the GI0, and curve for the GI infinity is somewhere here, all right? So it starts from 0 and go to the higher value of the R, that input impedance is increasing forever. This makes sense, okay? So input impedance is bounded between this curve and another one in the infinity. So it goes never below this. That is impossible. It goes up all the time, all right? Take a look at this. This magnitude of input impedance is proportional to the R. So good line node efficiency is guaranteed for all the frequencies here, all right? And take a look at this. This is the boundary between GBS, GCS. Right-hand side of this is GBS area. Left-hand side is GCS area, all right? So this obeys our rule. Okay, simple example. It obeys our rule. You have another simple example, which is this. Assume this is R is 0, then this is 0 shorted. We have just L. Input impedance of L as this one. Right? So, and this R becomes infinity, then GI infinity is a series connection of L and C, which is this. Right? So one curve is this one, and the other curve is this one, and all the input impedance in between is somewhere here. Somewhere here. So for all the cases, impedance is confined in this area and in this area. This is the result. Okay, I increased R, then it starts here, then goes like this. Okay, it also obeys our rule. It satisfied theorem number 1, obviously. Okay, so this is the borderline for the GBS. This side is GBS, and this is borderline for the GCS. So I don't know. It's a GBS, but this side it can be GBS or GCS. If R is large, then this slope, this means what? GCS. If R is small, something like this means you have this 90-degree slope. This is what? GCS, right? So it depends on value of the R. For the some R value, for the large value of the R, then that becomes the GCS. For the small value of the R, then that becomes GBS. Okay? In this region, in this borderline, for the all the values of the R from 0 to infinity, we always have GBS switching. Okay? So how about the line node efficiency? So this is the borderline for the line node efficiency. In this region, magnitude of this Ri is inversely proportional to R. So the line node will be very poor. And this area, if R increase, then this input impedance is increasing, i.e. tank current is decreasing. So R is proportional to the value of the Ri, is magnitude of Ri is proportional to this R. So this is region for the good line node efficiency, right? So there's two simple examples. This is LCC. Okay, so LCC case, you have one L and two capacitors. One is in series with L and one is in parallel branch. All right. So when R is 0, this is showed. So you have resonance frequency determined by this one. This is relatively large. So the one frequency here, GO. Okay. When this thing becomes infinity, we have a series connection of capacitor. Then composite capacitor is smaller than the largest, smaller one of that. Okay. So you have a small combination of this, and this denominator becomes large. Then you have one resonance, another resonance at high frequency here. All right. So when R is 0, that curve GI 0 is this one. And GI infinity is this one. So at this low frequency, okay, and this is the FM. So FM as given by this. You can prove this easily. Take the same approach as the previous one, then you can easily prove this. Okay. So with this below, before left-hand side of this line, this magnitude of GI is proportional to the R. That means in this area is for the good line node efficiency, right? And in this region of frequency, this magnitude of R is inversely proportional to R. Okay, if R becomes large, it becomes smaller. This is the region for the poor line node efficiency. Borderline is this FM frequency, which is this one. All right. How about the GCS and GBS characteristics? The right-hand side of this vertical line, it is always the GBS is guaranteed regardless of the value of the R. R starts from 0 to infinity. And for this left side of this, GCS is guaranteed for all R's. Okay? And in the middle, in between F0 and F infinity, with large R. With large R, this is what? GCS. With small R, GBS. Okay, so this can be either GBS or GCS if R is small. Okay. How small? You can define it later on. We will provide one critical value for the given frequency, which determines this separation between GBS and GCS. Right? So in general, for the small R, GBS occurs, and large R, GCS occurs. This device, this is bad for the MOSFET device. Because for MOSFET switches, we need to have the GBS operation, but in this region, this line node efficiency is bad. All right? So this LCC configuration is bad for the MOSFET switches. Never use this for the MOSFET switch. But GTOs, minority carrier device, they should operate in GCS region because of the reverse recovery problem of junction behavior. Then they should operate at this region for GTOs, right? Then here in this region, this line node efficiency is very good. All right? This structure is ideal for what? GTOs. All right? GTOs. So LCC is bad for the resonant converter, but that is the false statement. It depends on the switches you are using. That also depends on power level you are playing with. Okay? For low power application, what you are doing is all of them are low power, considered as a low power. High power means 100 kilowatt, mega kilowatt is called high power application. Right? So at that operation, you cannot use the MOSFET because of the current rate, okay, voltage rate. Okay, maybe they want to have 3K voltage blocking capacity. That is impossible with the MOSFET structure. So some other structure, GTO, okay, they are very slow. So switching frequency of those applications is 10 kilohertz, 20 kilohertz. Okay, that is about the upper maximum. So they are operating that application in here. All right. So GTO, for GTO, this LCC is the structure of choice. So this one is bad for the MOSFET switch, good for GTO switches. All right. How about this one? This is LCC tank. So LCC tank, everything is opposite. All right. So we went through this. There are 3 frequencies: F infinity, FM, and F0, F0. Okay. This is the desired GBS operation. This is undesired GCS operation. So we are somewhere here, and this is the borderline for the good line node efficiency, and this is the region, frequency range for the bad, poor line node efficiency. So this structure is the best choice for the MOSFET switch, but the worst choice for the GTO switches. Okay? So everything depends on switching device you are using. Okay? So there is one inherently good structure. There is no inherently bad structure of tank circuit. It depends on the application and the switches you are using. All right. Okay. I said that this resonant converter is very natural things. Maybe God made this, because when I was studying this and preparing this lecture slide, everything is so natural. Okay? There is no first or something, so everything is very, very smooth. If you start understanding something, then it goes very smoothly. So this is the end of topic 7, and we move to next one, section 8. Okay, dependence of the GBS and the GCS boundary on load. This is very easy because you already went through the most of story about this. Okay, this is just the repetition of previous one. So you have LLC structure. R is changing from infinity, from 0 to infinity. Okay, so we have one curve, GI infinity. Okay, let me start from the smaller one. We start GI0, so GI0 is this, right? So GI0. All right, and we move down here. We increase R and reach this point, GI infinity, and the GI infinity is here. We know this, right? This is the region for the GBS and GCS, and in between, if this R is large, then R is large. Which one is this? R is large. Then you have R is large. This one. Then you have GBS. If R is small, we go up. Then you have GCS, right? And this is the borderline for the good line node efficiency and bad, poor line node efficiency. Okay, so everything is written here. All right. Then problem is, if what particular frequency, how large R should be for the GBS, right? That is a problem, okay? That problem has exact, complete answer to that problem. is shown here. Okay. For this in the mid-frequency range, there is a specific value of the R critical, which defines the operational mode of converter. Okay. So take a look at this plot, this right-hand side plot. Right. So this is the frequency. This axis is frequency. This axis is frequency. This y-axis is here is the magnitude of the GI. Okay. This part is the magnitude of GI. This part is the magnitude of the R. All right. They're different. So they use the common x-axis, but there are two separate y-axes. One is for the magnitude of the GI, and the other one is the value of the R. All right. So at this frequency range, so slope is always this direction. So this is the GBS for all R. So start from 0, and this is the infinity. So for any value of R, GBS is guaranteed. And this area is situated the other way around. For any value from 0 to infinity, GCS is guaranteed. Bad for the MOSFET switch, good for the GTO switch. Right? In between, there is one value for the given frequency. There is one value, R critical. Okay. At given switching frequency, there is one value of R critical. Above this value of the R, at the switching frequency, converter is in GBS. Okay. At different frequencies, this R critical value will be changed. But at that, you can evaluate that frequency exactly. Then above that value, the converter is in GBS. Below that, converter is in GCS. Okay. So knowing the equation of this is very, very critical to judge the operational mode of your converter. Okay. Another problem is if you select maybe you want to put your operating point here, all right? But switching frequency will be changed because this converter is basically feedback controlled by frequency modulation. Then this point will be moved around. Then it will cross over the borderline between GBS and the GCS. So you initially intended the GBS operation, but during this control process, converter will go to the GCS operation. Okay? Maybe you cannot aware of that. You aren't aware of that. If you don't know this theory, right? Maybe you say, oh, something strange happened. Okay? My switch just rose up. That comes from this kind of. So you should understand this. This behavior, very important. Right? So later on, we'll derive the equation for this curve. Okay? So if we know the equation of this, then we will have the better insight about the operation of this resonant converter. So I note down here for the frequency range. Out of this, below this is okay. Okay? You don't care about the value of the R. Always GCS is guaranteed. You don't care about the frequency range above this because GBS is guaranteed. You don't have to worry about this, right? But in between, this will be crossed over the borderline. Okay? Switch over from the GCS and the GBS. Your switch will be destroyed abruptly. That is the problem. So for this frequency range, there exists a specific value of the R. We call it R critical, which determines operational mode of your converter, GBS and GCS. Okay, we derive that, and we'll make use of the EET again during the derivation. So EET is so important. Okay, so maybe it is impossible to overemphasize the importance of the EET in power electronics, but most of people, they don't know term EET. Most of them. Okay. Okay. Condition of R for GCS, GBS switchover. You know the meaning of the switchover? This is the word I invented. If you go to the directory, there is no word like this. This means the switching over the boundary between GCS and the GBS. Okay? let's call it switchover. Very easy, and it has some meaning. Okay, so switchover. The GCS occurs when with capacitive GI, okay, and the GBS occurs when this inductive GI, then when the switchover will occur. Switchover occurs when the phase of input impedance is 0. Okay? In another way, that the GBS occurs when imaginary part of GI becomes 0. Then when imaginary part is 0, GI becomes real number and phase becomes 0. Okay? So that is the borderline between GBS and the GCS switching. Right? So very simple. Just to find out this. All right? So R critical is the one that makes the imaginary part of the GI 0. That is the R critical. What the given frequency is? You know the magnitude, the phase of the GI and some specific value. Phase becomes 0 and or it becomes pure, the imaginary part becomes 0. That value is what? R critical. Okay? So very easy to figure this out. So the point, resistance value are critical, which make the switch over between GCS, GBS is the value which makes the imaginary part of the GI becomes 0. Okay, this is the expression. So you are using this. It's taken from the ET. Okay, if you don't use this, it is impossible to find out this condition. But with this ET, it's very easy. Just the imaginary part of this becomes 0. Okay, that value, that the R, that makes the imaginary part of this thing equals to 0 is the R critical. Okay, so just we find out this, the R satisfying this equation is R critical. All right, so again, for the purely reactive tanks, the impedances, this one, GO infinity, GO 0, and the GI infinity have 0 real part. They are all imaginary. They are all reactive. Okay. Then imaginary part of this should be 0. Okay. Then we are talking about the imaginary part of this whole things. All right. Then this equation can be, this condition can be break into two conditions. So this is this complex number. Just take the real part of it and to multiply this imaginary part of it. That is the imaginary part of the whole thing. Because it only contains the imaginary part. Right? Everything becomes imaginary. You need to take out the real part of it. Real number times imaginary part is imaginary number. Right? So we intentionally one equation into two expressions, right? And later on we'll prove this. Assume this is true, then this value is imaginary part of this times this is the real number. This is the magnitude. Everything is magnitude, the real number. This becomes 0. It's the frequency. That this R then makes this term 0 is R critical, right? So this one, the switchover condition as this one becomes 0. So just forget about all of this. Just take a look at this, right? To make this term 0, this should be 1, right? Then you are trying to find out this R critical. So this is the expression for the R critical. Right? But they are expressed with GO here, GO 0, GO infinity. They should be replaced with GI something because we only know we are only using GI characteristics, right? So these two terms replaced with GI something, that reciprocity identity makes that possible, right? So from the reciprocity identity, it's not easy to pronounce it, so stress is here. Reciprocity identity, it follows that. I said this, right? From the reciprocity identity, this absolute value should be the same. Then this GO infinity appearing here is replaced with this. then it goes into this. This is the final expression for this R critical. All right? So this is output impedance evaluate with input port shorted. This can be evaluate. This is input magnitude of input impedance evaluate with output open shorted. Most important thing is all of these things should evaluate at the switching frequency, right? So evaluate at 2 pi fs switching frequency, okay? Switching frequency. This can be easily calculated. Okay, so this is the example of such a calculation. This one. So at the particular frequency, you evaluate the other one. Okay, all the information for the evaluation, they are available. Then you calculate this, and you make the plot. This is R critical, right? So at each of every switching frequency, you can calculate this, and you come up with a curve. Okay, that means because in this region, if R is larger, the converter is GBS operator. How much larger? Above this line. Okay, this region is region for the GBS. Region below this line, and this one is region of GCS switching, GBS switching. Okay. All right. Okay. And proof of it. I should prove this, but I think you can do a better job than me. Okay. So I just quickly go through the derivation. So proof of star is this one. Proof of star. We start out this. Okay, this is the beginning point. We start from here, and we will come up with this. Okay, we claimed that this one can be modified to this, and this one can be modified to this, and we made use of this equation to derive this. All right, just to show this, and this GI infinity, GI infinity, GO0, GO infinity. All of them are purely reactive. That is our fundamental assumption. Okay, everything is reactive. Okay, then we want to show this is same as this one. So I made a little substitution. This is GI infinity is JA because this is purely reactive. And this is complex number. So this part is A prime plus JB prime, right? So you are finding out the reactive component of this. Then you factor this out. Then, imaginary component of this. You factor this out. This is imaginary. This is real number, right? A, B, A prime, B, they are real number. So this part is real. So you get rid of this and just looking for the imaginary part of this, but this one is also real number, and forget about this, take this out here. This is just the imaginary part of JA. A is what? A is real part of this, okay? No. JA. Oh, I'm sorry. JA is imaginary part of J is this, okay? A prime is real part of this one, real part of this one, real part of this one. Okay? So this is the same equation. I think this is the same equation. And finally, we prove this reduced to this equation. There is the final equation. So we rationalize that expression here. So this is the step of rationalizing the expression. So this is original equation. And we multiply the complex conjugate of this numerator as well as denominator. Then we have this. And this one, GO infinity and the GO0 is out of phase. Because we know the GI infinity and the GI0 at that frequency region is out of phase, then output impedance should be out of phase as well. So we are making use of that, right? So it's J minus J out of phase, And the complex conjugate of this is just put minus sign here, put minus sign here, becomes positive j. And think about this, just expand this. So denominator is the real number. This squared times squared this, magnitude of something. And this imaginary part is coming from real part of this coming from this one times this one. Another real part is coming from multiplication of this and this, okay? But they are out of phase. So that becomes real number, negative real number, which is this. This is the imaginary part, but we don't have any interest in this area. So just that part, just take the imaginary part. Real part of it. So real part of it is this one. This is the B equation. So we prove this. Right? So ET is playing the critical role in deriving this equation. Otherwise, it is very challenging job. Okay? To prove this, so we prove maybe several things, no, 3 things in this section and the previous section. So, okay, let me finish up this. This is the final story, summary of LLC tank. Characteristics of the LLC tank. Most of this is known. We already went through this, right? So, take a look at this. Okay, this is the LLC. So this is the region of the GBS, this side, GCS in the middle. For the larger R, it goes in the GBS operation, and for the smaller one, it goes into GCS operation. That borderline, but that is this R critical, this blue curve, okay, blue curve here, right? So that is derived from the previous equation, okay? Or you simulate this one, calculate this using any software, just plot it, okay? Above this blue line is area, region for GBS. So this LLC converter has large GBS area. This area is probably larger than this, so large area. It operates in GBS region, right? That's one thing. This is R matches. This is the R for the peak power transfer. R match. All right. So R match value is somewhere here. This is above this R critical line in this region, and this is below this R critical line. This red line is R match. At this particular frequency, omega m, at this frequency, R match and this R critical, they becomes the same. Right? Then this is the one point. Everything merged together. Why is that? Okay. So take a look at this. This area. All right. In here, GI0 is always larger than GI infinity. You have this relationship R critical as given by this, and R match is GOO. We know this, right? So GOO is fixed. But R critical is a function of is function of GO0 and this one. Okay. If GIO is always larger than GI infinity, then this is larger than this. Then R critical is always smaller than R match, which is this area. Okay. The other way around, if you move in this area, then GI infinity is always larger than GI0. That means this numerator is larger than 0. Then R critical is always larger than R match. So this curve is here. This blue one is here. Then red one comes above this line in this region and below this line in this region. GBS region is above this blue line. So this shaded region, this strange looking region, is for the GBS. For some cases, R match. If your switching frequency is somewhere here, R match is in GCS operation. That's bad, okay? It don't operate. It just operate shortly and it could go away, something like that. Okay? So you understand the meaning of this. All right? This provides the general global picture of operation of this. Okay? So, and binode efficiency, this one is good binode efficiency region. This is the bad binode efficiency region. So this shows the all information about the operation of converter for given tank structure and for the given switching frequency range. So it provides some information. You should think about the range of operation, right? You should all these things all together in comprehensive manner for the safe operation of your converter. So this is some detailed information about this, right? So but we went through several times, so you can easily figure this out. And the other case, for the LCC converter case, is everything is opposite, right? Because of this structure is opposite. So this is the line of GBS. Below this lower R, this operates in GBS. For larger R, it operates with GCS. So GCS region for this tank, LCC tank, is this much. And this relationship between this R critica and R match is something like this. Okay, so you can interpret this. Right? Everything remains the same. Only I changed good and poor interchange. And the GCS, GBS, something, everything remains the same. Okay? So again, it definitely says this LCC is best for the minority carrier switches, and for the majority carrier switches, for the low power application, you should use LLC. Right? Somehow in the past, I was studying this, maybe I was studying in 1980s. They said that LCC is the best structure. I don't know why they claim that, but now everybody agreed on this. Right? It depends on the switches you are using and the power levels you are working on. Okay. All right. So next week we move to section 9, right? 9 and 10 and 11. All right. So 3 more sections are left for this kind of study. After that, we'll switch the dynamic modeling and control design, different story, but they are closely related. When you are designing the controller, when you are studying the dynamics, you should understand this global behavior of your converter. Okay? This is the big difference between PWM converter and resonant converter. Resonant converter is more complex, but more interesting. Okay, thank you.